Hey everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com. How are you today? I hope you're well, and I'm going to share how to make this really simple card. This uses the brightest glow, and this is for the sentiment. And I'm super excited that the Forever Forest is carrying over. So this is in the holiday catalog. Now, it won't be a bundle any longer. So if you still want to get it at the bundle price will be discontinuing after January 4th. But I'm so stoked that this is going to be carrying over. It has so much potential. I didn't even get to do anything yet with the mountain range, which I love. That's really one of the reasons I bought it. But this is a great card here with the warm winter wishes. I love all, it has so many things. I want to show you one other thing. It does come with a ton. Let's see if I can grab the right one. A ton of dies. And haven't even used the dies yet. I actually thought of a card, but I just didn't get a chance to create it yet. So it has a lot of dies. There are rocks, which are these here. There's clouds. There's so you can actually stamp and cut out the trees if you wanted to. And then there are other trees that are die cut. You can die cut the 5 grouping of trees, and then there's a whole mountain range. So lots and lots and lots of potential. So I'm super excited that this will be carrying over. Again, just won't be as a bundle. So if you wanted to be able to purchase it as the discounted bundle portion, you definitely want to get that now, but we'll still be able to get it. So brightest glow. Now this one, I'm pretty sure is not carrying over. A lot of times the sentiments don't. I don't really know which page this is on, or I would pop there and tell you. But another one that's not going to be carrying over is the other one with these large sentiments, Joy to You. This is a really versatile. It's a great stamp set just because it's big. And big stamp sets, a lot of times if you do something with them, you can kind of do just DSP in the background, which I talked about in the other video, and then just have a really nice big sentiment, kind of like the way this is here. But you could even use less. So it's really is a great style of card to be able to make because you don't need a lot to be able to do it. But so I'm going to show you today how to make this one. This is really simple. It uses 2 inks, so you're using Shaded Spruce and Real Red, but you could change to Cherry Cobbler, you could do Poppy Parade, and you could even do a different color if you wanted to. I mean, I think this also would look kind of cool with using Shaded Spruce, and then Pool Party if you wanted to do something a little bit different. That's a really nice color combination as well. You could also do maybe a Lost Lagoon, which originally you wouldn't necessarily think would look good, but if you wanted something that was not just necessarily your traditional Christmas color. So there's your 2 other options for you. All right, so to begin, and I want to show you the other thing I did on this one. On the inside, we just have some trees here as well. So this is done with a Wink of Stella pen. Now this one I actually did with a wet, so a little bowl of water to rehydrate my Wink of Stella. So I definitely recommend doing it with a Wink of Stella pen so you don't kind of get these blurs. But you know, as you do it, you'll learn different things that you can do. So we're going to use a 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 5 1/2 piece of Shaded Spruce. You see I did a lot of Shaded Spruce recently. And then we have a piece of Smoky Slate that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5, and then you need another piece of white, obviously, for the inside, and then just a scrap for your sentiment. So we're going to put all these pieces on the side. We're going to concentrate on our large trees first. So I'm going to grab a big block. And I want to get my Wink of Stella pen because I want to make sure, I'm going to grab these couple that I just re-inked. I want to be able to do this while it's wet because that's the most important part. So we're going to take our Shaded Spruce and we're just going to ink up our stamp. Usually if you have a larger stamp like this, you want to press down onto it. It actually makes the images ink a little bit better. Okay. Looks pretty good. And just kind of center it. All right, and while the ink is still wet, now I did recently re-ink that, so that's why it's definitely significantly darker. You're going to take, now this is depending if you want it to be softened. If not, you could just do it like this and be done with it. But you're going to just take your Wink of Stella while your ink is wet, kind of just go over your branches, really down to the trunk. You don't really want to get into the trunk. So again, starting at the top, you're kind of just filling in a little bit more of the background of that color by spreading the ink that you just stamped. Gives it just that softer appearance. And this will work if you have a full Wink of Stella pen, if it's dry. But if you're trying to kind of use up your supplies or maybe use the ink that you have, you want to do this pretty much right after you stamp it. Go over any of those little white spots. Okay, that's good. Then we're going to take this little snowbank and grab a small block. I don't want it to be too big. We are actually, especially because I just recently re-inked this, we're going to ink it and stamp off first. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I'm going to do my inside panel. So I'm just going to, these are a little crooked, but no worries. I'm going to go ahead and just take this really quickly and just spread, just to soften that a little bit. And the great part is if you make a whoopsie here, if you press your ink too hard or something, you can just adjust your sentiment to cover it up. All right, so now I'm going to grab my smaller, just my single tree, and I'm going to ink this once and then once more without re-stamping it, and then we're going to ink, and then I'm going to ink one more higher strength. So basically I just used what I hadn't inked yet on the background and then re-inked, stamped off before I did this. And then we're going to go once more. Let me just move this over my pen. I'm going to do the one in the background first because I don't want to have a whole lot of ink on from the one in the foreground and then make it darker than I intended it to be, and then the foreground. And just soften this just a little bit. Okay. Now, just to go a step farther on this one on the inside, if you wanted to, you could stamp, so we have these little dots which look like falling snow, which are great, but I'm going to do the moon and the stars. And because I told you about the color combination, but I haven't showed it to you, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do it in Pool Party. And they're all going to be the same color, and it's going to be fine. Just, okay. Like so. Super cute. Love it. Close this up, and let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to grab a sentiment, and I'm going to do instead, just to change it up, I'm going to do Happy Holidays. So we have our little scrap. Where are you? And that's going to be in real red. Okay. And I just want to see how low this stamps so I can kind of, okay, stamp accordingly. Oh, that was perfect. Doesn't happen often, but now let's see if we made it large enough. Yep. It's going to work. We're going to make it work. So the only thing I am going to do is I'm going to trim this down just a smidge. But I want to just smooth this little ridge here. Like that. I'm going to give that a moment to dry, and we'll glue all these other parts together in the meantime. So I'm going to just use some liquid glue. And attach this to my smoky slate panel. So again, the large piece was 3 3/4 by 5. Piece behind it, or I should say the front panel, piece behind it was 4 by 5 1/4, and then this is going to go onto the base, which is 4 1/4. I'm sorry, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. There you go. Score that. Let me just hit this with my bone folder. Put this piece on the inside. Move that over. I don't want to accidentally dip it in something wet. Okay, and that pool party and the spruce look really cute together. I think it's just like the undertones of this are probably a blue. All right, so that's going to go here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully trim this. So I just want it to be a really slim border, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball. Hopefully that's good. That's close enough. Yep. Now, I do think that this is slightly off center, but it's just going to be what it's going to be. Yeah, it is. It's just a little bit too short. Nope. You know what? I'm not going to be able to. I want to, but I can't do it. Yep, I need one that's bigger. So real quick before I stamp this, make sure this is flat. All right, we're going to try that again. Watch this time. It'll be all botched up when I stamp it. Move this over. Make sure it's the correct direction. Okay, let's try this again. Yep, close enough. Looks good. All right, I am going to give that just a second to dry. So that way we can kind of center this the way we want it. So if you want it to be higher, you want it to be lower. I think we could even pop this up on dimensionals, but I want to give it a second to dry before we trim this. And then we'll place it on and then just trim the excess off. Okay, so I'm going to just do my best again. See if I have it lined up. That looks pretty good. Didn't trim off quite as much as I wanted to, but let's not be greedy. Okay. The other thing you can do, you can see on this one, I actually ran it through the red ink. Just kind of drags the side through. It makes it stand up a little bit more. This one isn't. So it kind of really just depends on what you're going for. And I'm going to put this up on dimensional, so I'm going to just leave it how it is. Let's see if I can get through the rest of these. Oops. It's a little bit too wide there. Let's see, how much more do we need? Probably don't even need all that part. Oh, Rachel, what are we going to do with you? Let's try that again. Piece down here. Oh, now it's hanging off the bottom. Oh, good gravy. See what happens? I'm trying to save it and I botched it up. That's okay. This one's done. I just need a little piece. Oops, I thought that cut, but I don't think it did. All right, that should be good enough. Let's just make sure this is pressed firmly, and then all we have to do is just trim off the ends. And they could be a little bit dimensional, but we'll find out shortly. Oh goodness, all right, I'm gonna need a little bit of glue here because I zealously ripped that off. So just in case you do, put a little liquid glue on there. Just try not to touch any of the top with your finger, because even the liquid glue will just reactivate it and then you have ink stuck everywhere, and that's not fun for anybody. Okay, I'm gonna pop this down, and with my one clean finger, I'm gonna press it on. Okay, and then all you're gonna do is just flip it over and snip. And these, you might recognize these. These are the old scissors that were the red rubber trimming scissors, but I pulled these out recently, and they're really good for cutting stuff that you don't mind if it gets a little sticky, probably because that's what they were originally used for, was trimming the red rubber, and sometimes that had stick on them. But these are some oldies but goodies. They still work. So there you go. I made it a little bit more complicated than it needed to be with all that extra fooling around with the dimensionals and the piece that I ended up doing. But which one do you like the best? Lots of great sentiments. And again, even the inside of this one, we added a little bit of Pool Party. This one we just had the regular one. I did add a little bit of the base excuse me, to this one, just by dragging the stem ink down and just blurring it a little bit with my Ink of Stella. Ink of Stella. That's a new brand. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you have found this useful. Maybe you can make yourself a really quick and easy Christmas card if you have some that you haven't sent out, or you need to make a bunch of them. We're approaching the beginning of December, so I guess this is kind of crunch time for people that are creating cards that either like being last minute Lucy's like me, or maybe you're just going to make a bunch of them. I would like to take a bunch of these and give them to, there's a nursing assisted living facility across from school, and I think I'm going to take them a bunch of stuff that way. Maybe they have something to give to someone, which probably would make them so happy. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or anything about this video, you can leave it in the comment section below. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you do, turn on the bell. It'll notify you every time I make a new video. If you'd like to get any of the supplies to make this card, or if you want any more information about the measurements, all you have to do is click below. There's a big description box. If you click this little arrow here, it'll open it up and it gives you links to everything, to the blog posts, to shopping, to lots of other things. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.